Hey everyone, it's Rexluna here, and today I'm going to do kind of like a preview of what my holsters turned out to be. But just as a note, I was running very short on time. I had started my new job, and for some reason, I had a couple weeks in a row where I was working like 40 plus hours a week. Keeping in mind I had at least one shift at my other job, which was a 7-hour shift, so any day I had off usually was being spent at my office, so didn't have a lot of spare time to work on stuff. I did have a couple of sweatshop days with some of my friends, but trying to finish my holsters, the wetsuit, and helping my boyfriend learn to sew and use my machine to make his costume was just like way too much on my plate at one time. So there's a lot of stuff I skipped or things I missed that were issues that I had to fix on the go, so I'll explain that to you. So these are not the final product, but this does show a lot of what I was talking about before and what we were going to do. So just to kind of give you an idea of how that's going to look and work, you can kind of see now. And also since I don't have any days off until Friday, today is Monday evening, so I won't have a day off until Friday, and I don't know my schedule until tomorrow. So I'm hoping I'll have a couple more days off. I do have some shorter shifts this week, which is nice. I'm working like half the hours I have been for the last 2 weeks, but maybe I'll get to work on the holsters again and we can start from scratch. So, for now, these are just such a pain to handle right now. So these are the classic Lara Croft holsters. I did not make the wetsuit ones, mostly because I didn't have time, but also because the event I was going to, I couldn't have brought guns with me because it was at a park, which is a public place, and they don't really like having guns because the forest park ranger people, whatever, would get kind of mad. So, yeah, just did the wetsuit Lara with no holsters or belt at that event, and then I wore classic Lara to Stockton Con, which was the next day. So, classic holsters. So here's the belt. You'll notice there's sticky stuff on it. That's duct tape, and I'll explain duct tape, why that's a thing, in a second. But, so this belt, I'm really proud of it, which is really stupid and dorky of me, but I was just concerned with my time crunch that it wasn't going to come out right. And because it's this belt was a straight line, it was thin enough that I could get away with not having to make the curve. So I just got to do a straight line. So I am not the best at sewing straight stitches. I don't know why, I'm just not very good at it. I think it's because I'm impatient and I put my machine on max speed every single time, so sometimes things go like, ugh. Anyway, so this one came out actually fairly straight. There's a couple spots where it's a little off, but you really can't tell. So the first thing I want to mention is this little X here. Super, super important. So my machine is lucky enough that I can actually go through 2 layers of vinyl. This is actually about 2 layers. It becomes 4 when you get to the seam here. But, so most machines, if not all machines, have a button that keeps your needle down, no matter if your foot is up or down. So the way you do this, just kind of like a quick thing for those who don't know, you do your seam and then you press the needle down button, and then you can lift your foot and the needle will stay through the fabric so you can rotate it. So if you're sewing an edge or like a bias on your costume on the edge of it and you need to make an angle, you can do that, or you can make little squares with X's through them, which is how you keep something really secure, which is really good for stuff like belts. My original Morgan skirt had that same method. Every single belt was sewn on with a square and an X, so that was a lot of pins and a lot of blood. Anyway, so this is that big buckle I was talking about, which turned out to be the exact perfect size, which is super exciting. It was a little struggle to get these through the belt loops, but this belt ended up being exactly perfect for my loops, which was really cool. The one downside being, here's part of why the duct tape is a thing. If you look at the design for Lara Croft Classic holsters, she's not wearing them over or in her belt loops for, the way it was designed because polygons. And her belt's really huge, and I physically can't pull that off because my torso is too short, and I know if I make a belt that big, it's just going to be ridiculous, and it looks crazy. So I went with ones that were smaller that would actually fit through my belt loops. But if you sew things on the back and the front, you can't put the belt through the belt loops. Duh. And I'm an idiot. So I had planned on having all this crap attached in a permanent way. Luckily I ran out of time and realized that that wasn't going to work. So I just attached the back in a permanent way. So I would just wrap it around me and then do one side through the loops and the other side through the loops, and then the back just kind of hung out over there. So since I was, like I said, running out of time, These weren't measured perfectly. What I would normally like to do is have these meet up in a perfectly straight line right here and just go over them with the square, which would be a little bit tough, but it would be doable. But in this case, I just did the 2 straight lines and I taped them into place so they wouldn't fall because I couldn't pin them or bobby pin them. But I never got into pulling all the tape out, but you can't really see it in pictures anyway. But yeah, so that kept those on pretty securely in the back. But the front, the way I wanted to do it, I couldn't do it, and I didn't have time even if I wanted to. So I ended up duct taping them, which is why there's duct tape stickies on everything, to the front of the belt, and then I attached my fake belt buckle, which was actually a piece of foam that I painted gold because, again, I ran out of time. So next time that won't happen. I'm gonna do some clips or something. I still have to figure that out, but I might go to the version in Legend, I think it is. Legend, where there's a flashback scene that you played through and she's wearing her classic outfit, but it's updated, you know, graphically, and so it's more detailed and there's like hooks on the front and back, so that's kind of cool. This pocket ended up working out freaking perfectly. I didn't have to make any adjustments. When I try doing it here, it's a little bit of a struggle to get it through the bottom. But when you're wearing them, you have the help of gravity and the fact that these are like firmly attached to you, where here it's all like, eh. But they're a little heavy, and because these weren't securely fastened in the front, I didn't trust to just walk around with them, so I just carried them around because my hands were full and I was just like pointing with them. Stockton Con's really awesome about their weapons. Like, they were totally cool. They're like, they're airsoft? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, there's nothing in them, right? I was like, no. They just gave them to me. They didn't even check to see that the clip was empty, which of course, I mean, it is, but it's still funny. So, the only other thing I guess I could mention is for the thigh pieces, because there's no visible clip or anything on them, and I didn't have the time and, you know, blah, blah, blah excuses. I just sewed it closed. I sewed them together with a zigzag stitch that I went back and forth over it because I knew it wasn't going to really show. So next time I'll do something about that. But there are a couple things that I mentioned before that I can now kind of show you. I can't show you in action, but I can show you the finished product. So I was talking about, you cut a little bit too big, like outside your pattern, you give yourself seam allowance, you fold the edges down, and then you sew them both together. So what you do is you take bobby pins and you fold it down and then you bobby pin it to keep it in place. So kind of like how you'd pin fabric, but you cannot and do not want to put pins in this. So you just fold them down and then you put both folded layers on top so it looks like that, and then you just sew over it. And you get this really nice, like, pretty professional looking belt, and it's pretty rad. I've pretty much learned that almost anything vinyl I'll probably always top stitch just because it looks so good. I really like it. But, yeah. So, I'm not sure if I'm going to remake these first, or if I'm going to do the wetsuit version, or if I'm just going to switch to the other classic version. I have to get some input from people, I guess, because I can't decide on my own. But when I do, which hopefully will be in the next couple weeks, I can actually start making them. I just don't have a lot of free time because I've been working full weeks in the last couple of weeks, but this current week will actually be about half the amount of hours, or at least 2/3 of the amount of hours I've been working, and I have an extra day off, so I might be able to actually get some stuff done, but we will see. So, hopefully it won't be too long until my next video working on actual cosplay. So if it is a while, I'm sorry, and please be patient. But thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye!